Okay, so in this video, I'm not going to be talking direction or anything like that. We're just going to be simply discussing the types of V's and what I like to stand away from and what I like to stand with. Okay, and with that information, we're going to go into details of why. Because it's the why that always matter. It doesn't matter how I draw it, how you draw it. If you understand the why, your drawing will be correct. Okay, so it again, our focus is not on the drawing. I'm sure already by now you're having some aha moments because you've seen the V formation in the MPA course and you're like, man, every time there's a V I'm always preparing to trade, but then oh man, just that last minute I just don't know how to time it really well. Like, okay, so I'm sure some of these things are clicking with you already and you're getting your aha moments that you need. But now let's go into the little fine print, the questions that can arise. And I know they will arise because I've seen the questions coming in. So I know they're very extensive and I can see how many white hairs Armo is getting. So let's take a look at some of these V's. Now, if I was to say this is a V, okay? Forget the direction and anything. All we're doing is this is a V that's telling us that the buyers are coming back, right? The way I would look at this is, should I count the V from this wick to this body and then say, oh, it's from here to here, or should I count this entire tail to there? Okay. Now, again, what I want to remind you guys is that is a good way to think of what should I do? Think with the logic. What does the tail represent? That someone pushed it up. Now, if you're doing a V formation to buy, is someone pushing it up? Is that a good sign? Yeah, that's a good sign. So we can include that. That's fine. But on the way up, I don't really like to include the tails because I want to know for sure at what area did my buyer started to stop. So sometimes I don't like to include the wicks because it's like, wait, why do I have such a big wick if that's a V formation? And what is a V formation? It's your big boy coming back. So if your big boy is coming back, then who in the world stopped my big boy and gave him a wick? What is going on here? Who is my big boy afraid of? Maybe I should be afraid of it too. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope you're nodding your head or saying yes out loud. But yeah, that's what we want to make sure. So let's take a look at some more V's. So this is a pretty straightforward V over here. Okay, this one to this one. Okay, that's like a 100% V right there. Okay, comes up to its probe, tests it, starts to drop. Okay, let's take a look at some other ones. There was one here I had looked at for you guys. Okay, here's a lopsided one. This one goes from here, it comes down till here, and then it goes up, but I would like to stop it there. Okay, and I would say, yeah, that's still lopsided. It's holding up in that area because the next few candles are there. But I don't want to, push it and say it came up to here. I know price got up to there, but I don't know if it's stabilizing at that area. So we want to keep those things in mind. Let's take a look at another one. Okay, what about this one here? This is the one I wanted to point out to you guys. Will I say this is a lopsided V because the sell came down from there to here and the buy came up all the way to there? It's like, that's like 3 inches higher. That must be a lopsided V, right? No, we don't think like that. In this particular case is I first have to hold off on this, even thinking, could that even be a V? Because I get that it reversed completely from here to there. It came up really high, but what is this wick? Why is the wick there? Isn't a V supposed to be my big boy? And if that's my big boy, why am I getting a wick? So that makes me hold off. But the moment I see the next candle holding up in that area, I was like, this could pass as a lopsided V formation because it looks like price is up in that zone, and that seems to be up above SNR area. But notice one word that I said, that could be. Hence, now I'm working with a whole different level of stop losses because could means I'm not certain. And if I'm not certain, I'm not going to be dealing with stops that are going to be tight, thinking that it's only going to be a recent SNR test and then take off. Maybe he can come lower. Maybe he can probe my lows. because I'm not certain. So always keep that thing in mind. Is it lopsided like this, where it's like, okay, you and I and every child out there can say that's lopsided or that's an aggressive V. It's so clear, everyone can see it. But here it's not so clear. Okay, so that one is gonna get a uncertainty, and uncertainty is bad for business. Okay, here's another V formation here. Take a look at this one. Starts from here, goes up to there, and then initially it comes down to here. It's like, is that a V formation? Is that a V formation? No, it came up and it closed right there. So it's not a V formation yet. It's in fact looks like a V formation, but it's not one yet. Then it gets lower, then it gets lower and lower and lower and lower, and then a candle closes and it's solid. Like, okay, that's our V formation, and it's aggressive. That means it's going to be holding at the nearest SNR, most likely. I'm going to put a line at where my SNR is. Let me see some tests that the SNR is holding, and boom, there we go. Okay, so you want to use these informations to time, is your V formation real or not? Not to mention, apart from this fine print of, hey, should I count the tail, should I not count the tail, it's a yes and a no. Okay, you need to always remember this as a trader. Nothing is fine in you know, it's not written in stone. You know, you can bend the rules here and there if it doesn't line up with your story. And in this particular case, the story always goes with the primary objective. Is my big boy back? If not, then those wicks and tails tell you a story to stand off. If yes, then you're good to go. You're good to go. So the next thing is we also want to monitor from one side of the V to the next. Okay, we want to make sure when a V happens, it's strong enough. So for example, let's say, assume that this V came from here, went down till here, and then it came all the way back up to here. You know, let's say 100% V, just assumption. If you look at this red candle, very strong, but then you look at the greens coming up, okay? Let's say it gets up to there, but look how many candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say. So one candle down, 4 or 5 candles up. Do you think that's a solid V formation? It becomes doubtful. It's like, how can my big boy come back weaker? How's that even possible? That means something is wrong. So then you hold off. You hold off, because you know what's actually happening there? What's happening is you have a strong down move here, but these little pushes up that you're seeing, lots of wicks and tails and each candle separating, on a lower time frame, it's seller's territory, and we're getting this kind of look to it. So sooner or later, even though it looks like, oh, maybe that's a V, it looks like someone's preparing to sell this thing instead of whoever might be looking at this out. That's a V, so it should test here and go up. Okay, it's because the V design does not match the story. Okay, so always keep in mind the one thing running in the back of your head. The V is the big boy coming back, and when you see a V, ask yourself that question. Does that look like the big boy coming back? Forget the tails, forget the wicks and all that stuff. If you have to use it, use it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. But ask that question. Is the big boy back? And if it's not obvious to you, then chances are something is wrong, especially after this training. If it's not obvious, something is wrong. And that's when you start building your instincts to do what we call counter trend trades. And we're going to be discussing counter trend trades and stuff like that as advanced techniques. It's not going to be in the 4-course bundle, because we still need to get you through this course, make sure you're on the right path, you're doing all the techniques required, and you're keeping up with the program. So let me know in the comments below. I need to do a progress update to see how well everyone is doing and understanding the information so far. So I look forward to seeing your comments below. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.